What's up, everybody? How you doing? Welcome back to another episode of Living Life Intently. I'm Lee Frazier, and I'm here with
Jonathan Canary.
Yeah, we're back. And I hope you guys liked last week's episode with Angelo. It was pretty fun hanging out at the shop, Getting to know him again.
Yeah.
Again.
Again. Yeah. Yeah. That was really, really fun. Yeah. I love Angelo.
Yeah. So if you're ever in Cape Breton, drive around the trail, stop into North River Kayaks, man, even just to say hi and hang out. He loves the chat, and he's got a really cool spot overlooking the water there in North River. But yeah, before we jump into the podcast, just want to tell you about a couple events that we have coming up. We have Butts and Boats Festival, which is coming up in the start of June. That is a all ages paddling festival. We will be doing the Margaree River on Saturday and Middle River on Sunday. Night of Adventure, actually, Dave Green is going to be down doing I guess like a satellite night of adventure down at our spot in Margaree at the campground. Camping's included in the rate. If you want to have a look, head to the website. It's just on the main page. And then we have our annual barbecue with Brian Picard from the Bite House. That is on July 1st with Bologna, Colorado. Yeah, blues group from Halifax. So looking forward to those events. And then later in the summer, we have Island Sauce Co. in for their annual barbecue. We'll be releasing details on that soon. But we are in Antigonish right now.
Let's jump right in. Let's just jump right in there.
Okay, cool. Yeah, we're going to jump in
there,
this
buddy.
Yeah, okay. Well, you're cutting me off.
All right, we're jumping in.
Some big dammed lakes, right? There's like McMillan, Wreck Cove, Gisborne, and Shetty Camp. And they all kind of are sort of linked and dammed together to feed down into Wreck Cove Hydro Station. And so there's a lot of those rivers have a lot of canyons, a lot of whitewater.
Right.
Like Shetty Camp was a lot of class 4, big waterfalls. We were looking at the meters the other day. Well, the tangent, right? Yeah. Anyways,
That's good.
see,
It's good.
anyways, yeah. So we're going on this multi-day trip. So we blocked out 4 days. It might take 3. I have no idea, right? Until we get in there, we might have to hike 20K. Well, last year we hiked 20K to the river, but
This is a good visit, though, if you happen to need to like park your boat in one spot on that river.
yeah.
This is a really good interview. Who do we have with us today? Why don't you introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. I'm Greg Linton. I'm one of the original founders and owners of Tightline Anchor Incorporated. Mm-hmm. And we build anchors for kayaks, canoes, other small paddleboards, other small personal watercraft, such as paddleboards, sea-doos, jet skis. And living here in Antigonish and loving the East Coast. I'm originally from Ontario.
Yeah.
And we moved here about 4 years ago for me to go back to school, back to university, and graduating at St. FX this year and next week, I guess. And yeah, just loving Nova Scotia.
What did you take in school?
I was taking business. I did an advanced major in management and leadership, and did a minor in psych.
Cool.
Yeah, definitely never saw myself going back to school. That's for sure.
Because you look like you're around my age, right? Or our age. 30,
yeah, I'm 30. 37. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Basically exact same age. Although like the documentary I put in the intro, I don't know if you noticed that. It says, I'm like, yeah, it took 38 years for me to paddle the Margaree River. I did it when I was 35 and I'm 37 now. Right. But yeah, it's similar age. And that was going to be one of my first questions was, are you from Antigonish? But,
no, I'm not. My wife, Amy McDonald is from here originally, and her parents are still here. So it's been great, moving back here with the kids and lots of time with grandparents. And during COVID when couldn't go anywhere, it was awesome to be here and away from, the busy parts of Ontario that, it's my home, but, I feel like this is my home now too. So,
are you guys staying out here?
It's hard to say. I'm actually I'm in the Air Force.
Yep.
And I'm going to be going to Shearwater here for about a year before I get course loaded, and then after that, we'll be posted somewhere.
Gotcha.
But the intent is to keep roots here in Nova Scotia, whether go away for a couple years and come back. I think this is where we want to be. So
it was funny when I was texting him about this stuff. He's like, "Are you you put like calf in it, right?
Yeah.
CAF. And I was like, what the hell is calf? And he goes, well, that answers my question basically for you. Basically Army. Asked me if I was military.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Because I was saying Raj in a bunch of terms, right? But no.
Yeah. Tell us about the anchor.
Yeah. So
Do you have one anchor or multiple anchors?
actually, multiple. But
Okay.
we only have one that's on the market right now, and we have another one that we're going to be releasing here shortly. We're still in the trial phase. When we started our business, it wasn't actually supposed to be a business. It was just a buddy, Thomas Langton, and myself, and just trying to build a better anchor for a big boat that was a big work boat down in Louisiana. Mm-hmm. And Tom had built out this big grapnel anchor and tried it, and the owner of the boat was really happy with it, but it took up a lot of space on board.
Yeah.
So he sent me some ideas and some sketches up, and I machined up some different parts to basically build the same anchor but make it collapsible.
So is that where your trade is at, doing machining and stuff?
Yeah. So when I was in high school, I was doing co-op as a machinist, and then I went to Conestoga College for tool and die. And then in 2008, when you could see that the big crash was coming, actually, sorry, it was in 2007, the company that I was working for in Cambridge, Ontario, started losing a lot of their contracts for Chrysler and such.
Yeah. Mhm.
And it was sort of forecasting that big crash was going to come in 08. And I had always thought that I wanted to be in the military, so I thought this is a good opportunity. So that's when I joined the Army in 2007. But I had a few years of machining and tool and die experience prior.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and my business partner Thomas, he's about 15 years older than me, I guess, but he's big into the hot rods and motorcycles and such. So he's got a big fabricating background as well, and we just became buddies. We met up in Petawawa, Ontario, when I was posted there.
Oh, sure.
And kind of became buddies over motorcycles. And so when he moved down south to Texas with his wife, that's when he met these guys in Louisiana with the boat, and that's how it kind of all started. It's really convoluted, but like we didn't wake up and say, hey, like let's start a business together and build anchors. It was like building one anchor, and so we got a lot of feedback from that anchor, and people liked it, and had some interest from some other people that were interested in investing to get us going in that way. And Tom and I are kind of anal and perfectionists with building stuff.
Yeah.
And we wanted to build, the anchor that we want, not the anchor that's maybe the most practical to sell as far as like cost of material and time to manufacture.
Yep.
But we want to have like, the Cadillac or the Ferrari of anchors, or the Ferrari of anything that we build. We want to make it, tight and good and last for a long time and perform well. And so we weren't really ready at that time to go down the road and market what we had built at that point. We wanted to do some more refinement and testing. And so we kind of shelved it for a while. And Tom was seeing the kayak fishing market in the southern states really starting to blow up. And he said, Greg, have you seen these guys with the fishing kayaks? And I said, I have, but not a ton of them or anything like that. And this is back in 2015, 16. And he said, well, what if we scale, our big anchor down so that we can market it to the paddle sports industry, where our cost to manufacture is a lot lower. It's more manageable for us to do it, basically out of a garage versus trying to build these bigger anchors and needing like heavy equipment and stuff to do it. So all that to say is we went through about 7 different designs of our small anchor, which only weighed 14 ounces. So it weighs less than a can of beer. And we marketed it towards that expanding kayak fishing market.
Crazy.
And so, so we went down to ICAST in Florida, which is the world's biggest fishing show. And we met some people down there. We bought a booth. We had no money to do it. and people came around and they're like, hey, this is awesome. Like, we've never heard of you guys before. Like, we got a lot of good feedback from the product, like on the product and the style and, the perceived functionality of the anchor.
Yeah.
And so we said, okay, let's do this. So we came back from Florida and got a bank loan and opened up, registered a business and started making these small anchors in Trenton, Ontario.
Were you making them yourself?
Yeah. So we made a lot of the first ones ourselves, and then we were, trying to, streamline the process. So we started using a couple different subcontractors, and then we were adding in like the color coding options and stuff. So we were actually using like a firearms coating, Cerakote, to get the different colors. And again, it was kind of like a real differentiator because nobody that we could see had any sort of colors on their anchors. But these paddle sports enthusiasts, they like to have all their gear matches up and stuff. So we're like, so then we ended up with like way too many damn colors. And it was just like, this is getting out of control because we'd have like a ton of anchors in hand, but none of the ones that, people wanted. They wanted the red one, and we only had green and blue and orange and everything but red.
Yeah.
So then so it was just a lot of lessons learned. But over the last few years, a lot of these boats have gotten significantly bigger, and people are running like, motors on them now, tons of rods, tons of gear, all that stuff. So the 14-ounce anchor is like the anchor that you'd want to take in your backpack if you're going to portage like 20 miles into the bush or something, right? Or maybe you don't take an anchor at all because you don't want to have to carry it. But that was the intent with that little light guy, was that, you could portage with it, you can take it. And it really, at the end of the day, it's an integral piece of safety gear. It's like brakes for your boat, right? The wind picks up, you get an injury, your paddle falls overboard or something. Like, you're just going to drift around and become a victim, or you want to anchor yourself and try to reset and figure out, what the next step is. But, with the boats getting heavier, and then other people like with 12-foot John boats and Sea-Doos and stuff approaching us like, hey, will this hold our boat? It's like, well, potentially, but we didn't design it or test it to do that. So we then kind of went in reverse order, and we scaled our little 14-ounce anchor up to the 3.5-pound anchor, which is our primary anchor that we're selling now.
Nice.
So is that this one here?
Yeah, that's that one. Yeah.
Okay. So the other one was smaller than this.
Bring it over.
Yeah.
Ooh, I don't want to drop it on this table.
Oh man, you could tune someone up with this thing, eh?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's got the DNFW tattooed on its forehead. I'm not going to swear, so you guys can try to figure that one out.
Yeah, I like that.
You kind of got to be, I would have thought that you guys came from more of a fishing, like that side of that kind of world, like the fishing background.
Yep.
Rather than the one because I was surprised when you said it, like machining. It makes sense now that I'm looking at it. But I figured that's where you guys kind of took your inspiration from like a gap in the market there. What you did eventually, but I figured that you guys were just big fishermen, right? And then you just built something you want to use.
This thing is awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, we are definitely outdoor enthusiasts and fishermen for sure. But it was never like, I was never fishing out of a kayak until I got into the anchor business, which is crazy because I got invited to a kayak fishing tournament it was in Petawawa, and they said, hey, like, do you want to come and fish with us? And hey, do you want to donate an anchor for the raffle? And I'm like, yeah, sure. And so I got there, and like, I'd literally never sat in a kayak to fish before. And I was like, this is cool. But yeah, we were building anchors for it.
That's my thing, straight into the fire, right?
Yeah. But we had a lot of people that helped us out in the beginning. We had a couple really early adopters that, like, we just, we had no idea really what we were doing with business whatsoever. So we had a Facebook page and an Instagram page or whatever, and put it up there for sale. And we had a gentleman from Germany, Dennis Kisselhorst. Mm-hmm. He was like one of our very early on adopters, and he bought one. He's like, yeah, I'm huge into paddle sports. I'm always looking for the newest gear, and he bought one. We shipped it to him, and he loved it, and he's been like a huge advocate for us all the way along. And then several different people in Ontario that were from the KAO kayak group. They bought anchors from us, gave us some more feedback, and we did some more tweaking and such, like as we were producing. And that's the great thing about being a small business is we're the boss. We can make our changes, right? It doesn't have to go through, all the bureaucracy of trying to make a change. So there's been an evolution. We call it like anchor evolution, because we get feedback, and if we get enough of the same kind of feedback, then we make changes. And that's what we like to do. So
someday you'll have a museum in Germany of all of your anchors.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for sure.
So how big was the first one? Like much bigger than this then?
Yeah, the first one, it's about probably 3.5 feet tall.
Oh, big one.
Holy
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah, it was a big guy. And so, it was kind of funny because we went from that. And actually, when we're done here, I'll show you some of the other prototypes of the original collapsing anchors that we built as well. They're out in the shop here.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just, it's kind of a labor of love. It wasn't anything to do with business at all. It was just trying to build something cool. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of the key part in it, right? That's pretty much all that I'm doing with what we're doing, like this, doing these podcasts, doing all the stuff and all the tours that we do. And building the campground is just kind of creating something fun that other people kind of align themselves with. And then I just keep going down that road. Who knows? Like next year that might end and it might be different. I might shift, do something else. But yeah, it's just been fun being able to kind of see something and you work towards it, and then people like it. And then you go, oh, okay, well, we got to improve that. So it's all about streamlining it and improving the process, improving the experience, and obviously improving the product. But
I know this sounds like, super weird. I don't know how to describe it any other way than this, but like it feels very real. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it is like really robust, and I like this where each of these, what do you call these, arms or legs or
the arms,
how they collapse onto one side of this divot.
Yeah.
And so the point is like tucked right in there.
Yeah.
That's so cool. And because you could have gone the other way with it and sandwiched it like this.
Yep.
But yeah.
Yeah, we spent a lot of nights head scratching and
I'm like so amazed at this thing.
I'm just trying to get the geometry right so that when it folds up and when it folds open, that the angles here on the brake spades, we call these parts the brake spades here.
Yeah.
That's actually engaging with the bottom at the right angle.
Yeah.
And a lot of it was just through trial and error because I don't have any like CAD skills really. Like I can run CNC equipment with a program, but I don't have any real background in proper design. It's a lot of like beer boxes get cut up and
dude, you can only have so many skills and so many different things.
That's right.
You know what I mean? Listen, I'm horrible at not realizing that, and I catch myself halfway through, right? Yeah. So I try to do too many things. And I'm like, oh, I can do that. Yeah, I can. But then you're like a rabbit hole for like 2 weeks down trying to learn it. And you're like, you know what? I probably should have just spent that time. Yeah. It's the value of that time. I should have just taken that and given somebody who knew what they were doing.
And I think, unfortunately, you probably can't outsource this skill on Fiverr. So
No, definitely not.
Like, hey, can you guys test a bunch of anchors for us?
So I'm assuming your biggest market's in the States.
Yes, it is for sure. Yeah. Like over 90% of our sales are to the States.
Yeah.
And I think that with the right marketing and getting the anchors into Europe in some reasonably, cost effective way, that could also be a huge market for us as well.
Man, just find a factory and outsource it there.
Yeah.
And then you get the manufacturers over there. I mean, you're probably already doing that, but yeah, like I'm not saying Nova Scotia will be like the next big market, but like there's so many people here that I from what I'm seeing, not because I'm big into the fishing world, I'm kind of like there, but I'm not. That's not my main thing. My main thing is like hiking stuff and outdoor paddling, like whitewater trips right now. But I can see this in there's the potential of this being more of a like the fishing, paddleboard, kayak fishing stuff being a little bit bigger here because. Where I grew up on the Margaree River, salmon fishing river, generally right? Generally, people just drive around, and that's what everybody's been doing. You just drive to pool to pool to pool to pool. Most of the pools in the river you can access pretty easily. It just takes time to get in there. So there's a lot of in-betweens. There's like the main sections by the bridges and the easy accessible pools that are always filled. Like in the summertime, it might take you an hour and a half to get a pass through the river. So I don't know if you know the kind of like gentleman's rules of the Margaree River and fly fishing and stuff, right?
No.
So there's a lineup. So if you get to a pool, first person in the pool to the pool gets first pass. So you basically work your way from the top of the pool down to the bottom. And every cast or every 2 casts, you're supposed to take a step and work your way through. And then guys will get in the rotation. So sometimes if you don't get there early enough and there's like 10 guys there, well, it might take you an hour to get one pass through that pool.
Right.
So everybody's having coffee and having drinks or whatever and socializing. It's more of a social thing. However, like a couple of years ago when we did this film that I was talking about earlier on, that was like a big canoe trip, and we fished because the bottom half of the river you can fish it, and we picked up all of our fishing gear, and we jumped pool to pool to pool. And through that year, I met a guy that comes down with a pack raft. It's not the ones that we use on the river. It's more of a fishing set up for fishing rowboat style where you can stand up in the middle, and he's got a drop anchor and all this stuff, right? And I would shuttle him around the river every morning. I'd go up to one spot, he would drop his truck down below, and he'd just spend the day fishing all these holes because nobody was at these holes. Everybody's at the main ones. And so I've been slowly, trying to talk some of the guys, some of the guides. I'm like, why don't you guys just, we'll take care of your shuttles, man. And we'll just help you guys take people out on the river all day.
Yeah.
And with the river, like, especially this year, we paddled a big section of it a couple of weeks ago, the first day of fishing season. And the Margaree River specifically changes so much because it goes through interval land. So banks will wash out, pools will fill in. Every year it's different, and you have to be on the river. That's the value of hiring a guide in the area because the pools change so much, right?
Right.
And then there's one of the main pools, which used to be where we would finish our tubing run at Doyle's Bridge. It used to be this big stone beach, and that's completely gone. And when I got emailed the link up to do this podcast and this anchor, I'm like, that's the first thing that came to my mind. I'm like, now you can wade out, you could take a boat and get out, 100 feet off, or not 100 feet, but like 50 feet in the middle of the river and still fish that pool. Nobody else is going to be able to fish that pool this year,
right?
Because there's no bank, there's no beach. You can't walk out; it's too deep.
Yeah.
So stuff like this, I see being, the more people get introduced to it, the more possibility there is here in the East Coast, and that's one river out of how many.
And for the river, actually, if you got a second here, I'll just run out to the garage. I'll bring in the actual river anchor that we're about to launch. We just finished the patent pending on it.
Let's do it.
Yeah, just give me a second here. I'll go grab it.
Yeah.
Quick intermission. Was it rambling there?
Yeah,
I was telling a story.
A little fucking ramble.
I was telling a story. I was telling a story.
I was just like, when is he going to bring it back to the anchor? Where the fuck are you going?
I'm looping there. I'm taking my time. Taking my damn time.
I love this thing. But
You could use that as a weapon. You put a rope on it and swing that. It's like one of those.
I could use it as a grappling hook.
Oh, that too. Yeah, it'd be like a ninja thing.
Whoa, what the fuck
What
is
is
that?
going on here? This looks like an octopus.
Yeah, it's something you can take upstairs to when you go to bed. Just joking. Okay, so like you said there about the States is a huge market for us, of course, but there's a lot of people that fish in rivers in the States. And so an anchor, like the K5 there, that's the orange one. It can be great in the river if you want to stay in one spot, but if the river's moving really quickly and you just want to slow yourself down, you don't want to actually stay in one spot, then what people are doing is using like a drag chain, so it looks similar to this.
Gotcha.
But there is no commercially available drag chain. It's all just DIY stuff, which is fine. But there's a couple issues with the drag chain. So it's obviously really loud, and fish don't like noise, right? So what people will do is they'll take a bicycle inner tube, and they'll pull the chain through the inner tube to silence the chain. The problem with that is then you're gonna get pollution and stuff in your waterways, right? Because the rubber's chipping off on rocks and such, and then it also fills up with water on the inside, and you've got, steel chain that then starts to rust and corrode, and you get all the gunky river crap in there, and you bring it into your hull, and then you got a big mess everywhere, right? So, we had a couple different shops that we sell the K5 to. They're like, why don't you guys just do us up some drag chains and we'll sell those, like make like a premium drag chain, right? And so, we went out and bought some chain and started messing around with some stuff and trying to figure out, what we could do. And I was thinking, you know what, let's make it out of stainless steel braided cable. It's quiet, doesn't make any noise. It's not going to corrode. It's not going to hold crap and stuff off the bottom.
Yeah.
And you can put swivel up front here again so it can kind of snake its way through. So
can I see it?
Yeah, of course.
Just looks like an octopus.
Yeah,
a little squid.
Like a squid. Yeah, we're kind of kicking around the idea of different names to call it, and squid kind of. Yeah, so that's one of the first prototypes. We've reached out to a couple different people that were again early adopters of our products in the past. So hey, can you guys give this a try? And we got lots of good feedback and made another few changes again. And we're actually producing one that's about half that weight right now. Yeah. Probably be done on Tuesday.
Cool.
And we're going to send those out to our team to give a try and see what they think, and, weight and dimensions and all that kind of stuff. Cause there's a lot of variables, both in weight and length and the amount of friction it's going to put on the bottom. And then also, if you use a smaller cable, then it'd be more flexible, right? So the idea with this is, depending on the speed of the water, you could run it so that you have, just these kind of sweeping the bottom like a corn broom.
Yeah.
If it's, pretty slow, or if it's really fast, you just more and more, and then you got 20 or 30 feet of road out behind you, and this would probably actually even stop you. So it's kind of the idea of like not getting hooked on anything, just slowing you down. You can control your speed, right?
Nice.
Fish
I
where you
would
want
think
to.
that the braided, I don't know how much of an issue this is, but I would think that the braided cable would do less damage to the bottom of the river as well, as opposed to having the chain dragging through it, right?
Yeah, and you got all these pieces too. Like even with the inner tube on the outside, it kind of follows the chain. So then you've got all these little spots that are prone to get hung up on rocks, right?
Yeah.
Which can be dangerous, of course. And it's just, you want to go out and fish. You don't want to get hung up on a stump, but at the same time, you can't fish unless you can slow yourself down. So,
that's right.
I don't think there's any perfect anchoring solution for anything. It's it's so subjective. The biggest thing that we find is people don't understand road ratio and having enough anchor line out for the depth of water that they're trying to fish in.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't, common sense says you can't anchor, with 9 feet of rope and 10 feet of water. It's just not going to work. It's like your math on how long you've been trying to do your thing, right?
Yeah.
But it's like, you get a call from somebody and, anchor's not working. It's like, okay, well, how much rope do you have? Well, like 50 feet of rope. Okay, cool. That's good. How deep are you, how deep of water are you in? It's like, oh, like 42 feet. But the anchor is not it's not being able to tip over and lay down and do its job, right? It's just kind of, hanging there.
Bouncing around.
Exactly, yeah. So that's, regardless of what anchor anybody uses, we always try to tell people have more rope than you think you need.
Yeah.
And you want to have like a stretchy rope as well, so that it acts like a shock absorber between whatever the anchor's hooked to on the bottom and also your hull on your boat. So you're not causing damage to your hull and you're not, reefing on that anchor. You can tow a truck around with that anchor. Maybe we'll put a disclaimer in there that says, no, don't do that. But those rivets, like the hinge rivets on that K5 they're good for, I think, 2,600 pounds for shear strength. So you're not gonna wreck that. But when you're reefing on the anchor, if there's not enough shock absorption there, then the anchor is more prone to get jolted out of whatever the bottom is, right? So that's the anchor tip of the day, I guess. Use lots of rope.
I love that. That should be a segment. Anchor tip of the day. I love that.
Yeah. And then, man, I was thinking about this on the drive up. I'm like, I wonder where I could use this.
Can we get one made of like aluminum or something and just call it Canary's grappling hook?
Yeah, sure.
You'd be cave diving, man. That's what you'd be doing.
Go spelunking with it.
Spelunk. That's what I meant. Spelunking. Yeah. You'd be going down in the ferry hole. You won't be swimming anymore. You'd be
That's
down.
right.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. Like I was at Home Sense or whatever those places are. You go because you're told you're going.
Yeah.
You know? Anyway, I was in there and I was looking at like the price of like, you know, artwork or whatever, like bowls and random nonsense that's made out of metal that like, you know, everybody that shops at the stores and like you go to your friend's house and they all have the same like.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? Like the price of that, like people should just buy this and put it on their mantle. You know what I mean? It's just something nice to look at.
Yeah,
you found yourself a new market. Just get on Etsy.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it. You just do anchor.
Decorative anchor.
Yeah.
Christmas and do Christmas ones.
Yeah.
Right? Little Christmas colors.
So what's the price point to something like this?
So we're all, because of our main markets in the U.S., it's all based off U.S. dollars. So we sell them for $120 U.S. and so it fluctuates here in Canada, but it's around like 150 now.
Yeah.
Now, see, I would have thought it would, like looking at it and feeling it and seeing the quality of it, I would have guessed twice that price.
Yeah.
So that's pretty good.
We'll see.
You let it slip.
I let a little F where it slipped.
Oh, buddy.
That's
First
good.
time.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And that's the hard part, right? Is running an e-commerce business. Like people don't get to put it in their hands. So like, how do you tell them about the value and the quality of it without being able to put your hands on it, right?
Yeah, it's kind of hard. It's real hard. I mean, I don't like that was the thing with us trying to sell like in the summer times, that's our business, right? From now until October, and selling products in shop is great. Like we do just, you know, merchandising hats and we were talking about earlier, right? And I like to have quality over quantity. I'd rather go to, like I said, I have these fishing hats that we originally had. I couldn't get them in 2 years because I wanted to use the exact same blanks and I'm trying to get my hands on them, and stock was an issue, and then shipping, and then, you know, then the summer's over, right? So this year we bought it, but trying to convey that to a lot of other people. Like I take a hit on profit margins, any margins whatsoever, to have a quality product. So all of our clothing is made in Truro by Stanfields, and then our hats are all a certain blank that took me 6 months to find, and I liked the blank. I was going in shops or going online to distributors, like ordering in, you know, hat here, a hat there, until I found something I really liked. But once you start going and people start talking about it, then that word of mouth is pretty much everything. So it takes a while to get the uptick, and then once it starts rolling, man, to keep that momentum going. But yeah, it's the biggest thing with e-commerce too. And there's so many different people and brands and companies all trying to do the same shit. And then all these people trying to do drop marketing or drop shipping stuff and outsourcing to wherever, making their product look like this product, but it might be made out of real cheap steel, aluminum, whatever, that would bend and break, and sell it for twice as much and people buy it. And you're like, how, why does this work?
I mean, this is like the most robust, well-engineered piece of gear I've had my hands on in a long time.
You sure?
Yeah. You can use that as a testimonial.
I was trying to make a joke, but I couldn't think.
You can use that on a testimonial. Canary Living Life Intently podcast.
I love it. I love it.
Have you been to many of the trade shows you went in the States? Have you been to any other kind of trade shows selling this product over the years? How many years has it been since you started this?
So officially it would be 2016, but that was with the 14-ounce anchor. And then we were doing that for a couple of years. And then just before I moved out here is when we committed to going to the 3.5 pound anchor. And crazy, when Trump came into office and he put the tariffs on steel, every anchor we made for 8 or 9 months, we were losing money on. Because, and it's like, we're already invested this far. It's like, what do we do, right? So we had to figure out our manufacturing process and get the price point for manufacturing down so that we could just survive. And so that was going well. And when COVID happened, things were good for us. We had some stock, and we started getting the momentum. And with our new manufacturing process, the quality of the product, like the fit and finish of it, actually even improved from what we were doing before. So like everything looked like it was going in the right direction. And then all of a sudden, supply chain stuff from COVID caught up to us last year. Sort of when we thought like we were way out of the woods.
You were in the clear.
That's when it came and like thumped us right in the back of the head. And so we had a pretty hard year last year because we ran out of stock early on. And then it was a lot of stress of like knowing when we're going to get our stuff. And then we had some quality control issues that we, the functionality of the anchor would have been fine, and the quality of the materials was fine, but the workmanship was not to the standard. And it was really tough because we had anchors that we could sell technically, but Tom and I were just like, no, we've worked too hard and come too far to, ruin our reputation at this point.
Yeah.
So we had to wait again to get more materials, more products. And anyway, going down like kind of doom and gloom road now.
I love it.
I can feel my energy like going down. So anyway, we're good now.
But I mean,
We're
that's
good.
like part of the story of your business, like I think that's a really valuable thing, is like things aren't always peachy, and seldom are.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. There's a lot of people that are like, oh, you're a business owner. Like, you must be rich. And what I'm like, no, I'm poor. I put all my money into my business. No, but, it's not an easy thing. And like knowing what I know about business now, if I wanted to make money quicker, like, not necessarily make money, but like just like sustain my quality of life, I'd probably get into something more like service industry or like, like the food trucks and stuff like that. Cause like trying to build a brand that nobody's heard of and a product that nobody's heard of, and the product's 3 times more expensive than, our closest competition. It's like, you guys are mental. Like, what are you trying to do?
Yeah.
Anyway, so there's a lot of lessons learned, but I love it. And
well, it's also like, I think from my experience, it's kind of like setting a price point that makes sense for you, and the product. Obviously, you need that the price point is. It's not like you're doing a 400% markup, but it's the same deal. It's like, how do you figure out that, is it too high? And there's always that doubt, right? So for me, as pricing out like tours, like big tours and trips, like he can say, like when I'm sitting there looking at the budget and pricing it out based off of what I would like to pay guides, and then all the associated costs. Like I like to have a certain standard when it comes to anything that you do with us, as far as like the multi-day trips, right? I want top of the line gear. You have to be using the best. This is not like, I don't go to Amazon and buy a $100 winter tent, right?
Yeah.
We buy like a $1,500 like Everest style tent that's not going to blow away and fall down. And all the kit, we supply everything, because I want people to be able to have that experience with the quality of gear that you should have, rather than buying a inferior product and then having a horrible experience.
I mean, it's even down to the apparel.
Oh, that
the Stanfield's apparel versus going out and buying Fruit of the Loom or
well, listen,
whatever.
we
It's
started
just
with A Style, right? I have a competitor to Gildan, but as soon as I found out that we could get a locally manufactured, like in Truro, the factory, and they were willing to do small orders for us, then I just totally switched. And you pay a little bit more, but the product's a better product.
Yeah,
and,
like the quality is exceptional.
Yeah. So for me, for pricing, it was just always like, it's like you look at the end product. It's like, this is, say, for our winter trip, right? We tested it out one year, and then I started sitting down looking at pricing it out proper, and it come with like $2,400 for like a week. But it's like backcountry, winter, the gear associated, the guide fees, permits, like all that whole product, and then with a little bit of like wiggle room and margin on the top, right? And you're looking at that and you're going, I don't know, man. if I put that out there, is people going to rip me apart but that's the price. And then like, I talked to Canary and I talked to other people and they're like, no, man, just that, if that's what it costs, that's what it costs.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
Then you get like the fear for a small business too, is like, you want somebody to buy that product or service or whatever it is. But some people tend to undercut themselves just to sell. Right?
Yes. Yeah.
And that's kind of like, I've got stuck out a couple times doing it, where put on a great event, there might have been 10 people there, or, do a guided trip and there might have been full.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I lost like, $1,000.
Yeah.
How can you can't run a business like that. So, there's a lot of lessons learned in that sense. So I think like leaning out of the gate and doing it proper. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, then move on to the next project. But that's kind of my, what I've kind of learned. So,
so other than the anchors, do you have any other products that you sell?
Yeah. So we have a bit of a partnership with the Anchor Wizards. So they're like an anchor management company. So they have like a reel system.
Anchor
management?
Yeah.
No shit.
Oh.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So they have a reel system that's clutched, and then they've got a chute that'll mount onto the back or the bow or the stern of your boat.
Yep.
And basically it will accept the anchor, and then you just
okay, now I know. I thought you meant like a manager for anchor companies.
No.
Exists?
Oh,
No, it's to manage that physical anchor. Yeah.
It makes more sense now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I was thinking when you're talking about your pricing there, it's like, if you go out and you have you have an awesome time for a week and it costs you $2,400 and you come home with like all your digits because you didn't freeze them off, that's a good cheap, week away versus coming back and hanging out in the hospital and amputations, right?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, that hasn't happened yet.
Or
No,
your anchor breaking and you drifting out to the ocean.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Well, that's the thing is like, and it comes down to, you're talking about quality, and longevity of the product. Like everything we're buying now, or I shouldn't say everything, but so many things we buy has got like planned obsolescence built into it.
Yeah.
So that you got to keep buying the same thing again, right? Like who wants to go and buy, an anchor every year because the arms break off because they're put together with crappy rivets, right?
Yeah. One of the biggest things I took from growing up, the takeaway, I preach this all the time. So when we're growing up, my dad, whenever I go buy something, right, would it be DJ gear or music equipment, I'd look and I go, I'm just going to buy this, say DJ equipment, right? To use that as an example, turntables. Oh, this Gemini system, it's like $500. I get 2 turntables, I get a mixer. And he goes, is that the best you can get? I go, no, it's a pretty like entry level setup. He's like, just save your money, buy the best you can get, because that stuff will last you. You'll end up replacing it. And it was like, I didn't listen to him, right? I remember that time I went to Sydney. I bought a Gemini XL100 setup. The worst turntables for DJing you can buy.
Right.
Cheapest, but horrible. Broke. I ended up spending like $1,200. Next year, I bought the top of the line techniques, and I still have them.
Nice.
Like today. That was when I was 14. Is
that the 1200?
1200, yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah, I had them powder coated with red LEDs on them now. So they're in a flight case at home. I haven't used them in years, but yeah, no, it's about buying quality, right? And that's the kind of thing where when I look at buying anything, whether it's equipment, gaming equipment, gear, whatever, I'll buy the best that I can buy if I can. If not, I'm buying the next one down, but I'm buying something of quality. And I trial ran buying an Amazon. I was curious, right? I'm going to go on Amazon. I'm going to buy something that's highly rated, that's like $100 Four Season 10, and compare it against my $1,500 North Face tent. And we're going to see. Well, I have it. If anybody wants it, I have it in Marguerite. I'll sell it. If you're listening to this, so you can come down and have it.
$110.
Oh, dude, it was horrible. And it was horrible. And I'm looking at it, I pop it up and I look, I go, oh, now I know. This will fall apart. And a friend of mine took it on a winter trip with us, and it just completely, all the zippers ripped like day one, fell apart.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure
nobody's having fun.
No, I'm pretty sure that's in a dump somewhere by now.
Yeah. And that's the problem too. Like, I mean, from knowing what I know about you guys are outdoors people too, right? Mm-hmm. And we're trying, like, we're in this crazy time where it's becoming so obvious that we've been doing a lot of bad things to our planet for way too long. It's like, why do you buy, 15 tents at $100 and throw them away? You know what I mean? Like every year you're buying a new tent and throwing it away. It's just ending up in the landfill.
Oh, man. You didn't ever attend Evolve because you're not from the East Coast. But Evolve Music Festival used to be here in Antigonish. We were just talking about driving up. And that place, if you waited Sunday afternoon, everybody left, you could clean up.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. It would be like a sea of tents.
Everybody just be right hungover, and they'd be like, nah, fuck that. That's disposable this week.
Yeah, exactly.
I used to get all my collapsible chairs from there at the end of the festival.
Yeah, we used to see a lot of that too down at the drag strip in Grand Bend in Ontario. You go down there, Grand Bend on the weekends, long weekends for racing, and all the creatures in the morning just crawling out of the tents. Yeah, that can stay here. Too lazy to pack it up. Yeah, you got to take the fire hose and wash the vomit out of it. But
yeah, you're right. It's like, we everything is built to be disposable, and it's a real shame. It's a real shame we treat that the broader consensus of people treat things that way. And companies manufacture things that way.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that as generations, younger people now I think are more keenly aware of what's going on, but at the same time they've grown up in this disposable sort of culture that we're living in as well. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. They don't have anything to kind of compare it against, right? Like our parents, they're like, well, when you bought a washing machine, it would, I still have it in the basement. It's still working, and then now we got, we bought a washer there not too long ago, like maybe 4 years ago, and it's already like on its way out. It's like, why?
I went through 2 in like 3 years.
Yeah.
We just bought my dad just bought a General, what is it? A General joiner. It was made in the 70s, I think, 60s, 70s, like a wood joiner planer. And, those things that's better than any joiner planer you can buy for woodworking today.
Oh, for sure.
We bought it for, $700 from a guy that had a bigger one, and this was his second one. And he goes, never, like, these products back in the day, were made. The company had a contract with the Canadian government to supply all the tech shops in every high school across Canada. And the stipulation was when they got the contract, this is from what he told me, was that these have to be fixed. The bearings, everything have to be able to be fixed with stuff off the shelves. So you can just go into any store and order just a general bearing, electrical switch, whatever. He's like, this thing sat in his dad died, so he sat in storage for a while. And before he listed on Kijiji, when I found it, he's like, I just literally went to Halifax and went to the hardware store and just bought new bearings and new blades and new switch, and came back and put her in and put her up for sale. Yeah. It's like, that's it. Cheap.
Yeah. It's like, I think like in the US, I don't know about Canada. I don't follow it too closely, but there's a lot of new right to repair legislations. Mm-hmm. So, that might, the corporate culture of manufacturing things to a better degree might change based on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Before last year, you couldn't get parts to fix. You would have to buy aftermarket parts to fix your iPad or whatever, right?
Yeah,
for
sure.
Now those companies are required to provide parts and service manuals and things like that. Mm-hmm. So that culture might change.
Yeah, for sure. I've been following that a bit too. It's pretty interesting. So you look at like different classes of products. So you say like your iPhone or like a Tesla car or something like that, or versus like, a John Deere tractor. I know like a lot of it came, I think, from the tractors, because you can't easily put, a big tractor on a flatbed, and maybe the closest Deere dealership is like 300 miles away or something, right? And so it's just not practical to do that. But when you think about, say, like a Tesla car, or your iPhone, like, do you want to be sitting on an airplane with, buddy that just replaced his lithium ion battery for the first time that came from God knows where?
Yeah, that's right.
And it's like, or like out on the street when, buddy replaced his Tesla sensors or something in a self-driving car. So I think that that's part of the part of the problem is like deciphering, okay, like what products should consumers have a right to repair and to what extent? And because like a lot of this technology stuff now is pretty complex, or you know, like especially around batteries and such. So yeah, I definitely am a huge advocate for right to repair. But I think that a lot of the
except when it could take my plane down.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. We'll leave it at that. Anyway, it's on a tangent, but yeah, I think right to repair is really important.
Yeah, and I think, and getting back to that is like, you know, maybe if that culture changes, maybe younger people will see the value in buying things that last. You know.
Yeah, for sure.
Like this beautiful K5.
Yeah, K5. Yeah,
Anchor.
Yeah.
Shit, you remember that.
Bam.
In one ear out the other, man.
I just brained that.
I should have been here a year ago because we actually had a yellow one. And it was called Canary Yellow.
Was it?
Yeah. We used to have, it was DeWalt Yellow.
Yeah.
This is like the Pantone color, DeWalt Yellow. Anyway, and then when we moved away from Cerakote and into powder coating, the closest yellow we could get to the DeWalt Yellow was like not anywhere close. And so I was like scanning through Google, just looking at yellow things. And I was like, yep, it's the exact same color as a canary. So we called it Canary Yellow.
Sick. So where can everybody find your product?
On our website at tightlineanchor.com.
Yep.
That's the easiest place. And you can reach out through our website as well, or through our social media channels on Instagram and Facebook. You just search for Tightline Anchor on there, and they can reach out. And when they get talking to somebody, they're either talking to me or my business partners. There's only 3 of us in the organization, so we do the floor sweeping, the shipping, the receiving, the customer service, the crying at the bank for more money. We do it all. So, and I think that's a really cool thing too, is with the small business thing. Like I love talking to our customers. I really do. I know like there's a lot of people that are like, oh yeah, I like customer service and stuff. I really do love hearing from our customers, because every day, like I look at the Anchor and there's days where you wake up and you're just like, being an Anchor tycoon is not all it's cracked up to be, right?
An Anchor tycoon. I love that.
But, and then you get like an email from a customer that's like, oh, like, thanks for throwing in the extra stickers, or I love your product, or, like I've never used an Anchor that worked better, or whatever. You know what I mean? Like it just makes you feel so good, because every day, like you're just so consumed with that. Like I don't see the special part of it anymore. It's like I want to get on to designing like the next thing, like the drag anchor or whatever. So when we get feedback on like the older stuff that we put out there, like it just, it gives you like a punch to the gut to like, yeah, you got to like keep going. Right?
Yeah.
So
I love that. Well, listen, thanks for having us in your home, and we'll definitely plug this Anchor.
Appreciate it.
I thought you were going to come up with a pun.
Yeah, well, I don't have one.
No, thanks for coming down. Appreciate it.
Well, huge thanks to Greg, and a massive thanks to whoever is listening to this and listened this far. After this podcast, we were on our way to Halifax for a film festival, which would be the Night of Adventure Film Festival, premiering a project that I put together with friends of mine. It's kind of been in the works for the last 2 years, called the Strawberry Run. And as I'm sitting here, it is, I believe, May 19th, and it's Friday. You can now watch the Strawberry Run online on our YouTube page. I'll put a link in the show notes. But here's a little clip of a little soundscape Jonathan put together from the Night of Adventure Film Fest when we went to Halifax. And yeah, huge thanks to Dave for letting us premiere it, and massive thank you to everybody and all the sponsors involved with this. Yeah, I hope you guys like it, man. And if you're interested in paddling the Margaree, or information on where to go to do a similar type trip, just reach out. We can get you sorted. Anyways, until next week, see ya.
Big thanks to all the sponsors of Strawberry Run. You can see it on YouTube. And big thanks to everybody who came out to see the film, and Dave Green for putting on the film fest, and Jan LaPierre for the Sweet Tunes that night. Here's a few clips that we gathered at the film fest. We'll see you next week. Wait, what? What do you mean? What do you mean, interviewed?
Oh, God.
Are you excited for the premiere, Ash?
Yeah, I'm really excited. Like, came down to Halifax just to see these films, so looking forward to it.
Mine use all Atlantic Canadian content. Kind of similar to Banff, just a little bit more grassroots and smaller, probably how that started originally. But yeah, and he messaged me about a month and a half ago, and he's like, "So we need content, we need documentaries for this. Can you finish the Strawberry Run by April 30th?" And I'm like, "Well, yeah, I can." Yeah, well, I kind of had a rough draft done, and then 2 weeks ago, I gave the whole weekend. I said, I'm doing 3 days straight, and that's all I'm going to do and try to wrap up this project. And Saturday night, I went to my parents' house for dinner, got home, sat down, looked at the project, didn't like it, and scrapped it and started a brand new one that night at like midnight. And so I just had an idea, and I just redid the entire project, and yeah, I finished it Saturday. Sent the audio off to get mixed and mastered, and did final coloring and a few little edits and stuff. And yeah, it's comes out on Sunday, premiering at this film festival.
This film was directed, produced, and edited by Lee Frazier, with co-production from Annika Phillips and filming by Wes Booth from Canopy Creative. Audio mix and mastering by Brad Cormier, featuring Lee Frazier, Alec Laporte, Jimmy Peterson, Ashley McDonald, Logan Landry, and Wes Booth. Wow, what a lineup. We would like to thank our sponsors for making it happen: Breton Brewing, Sea Cow Outdoors, My Home Apparel, Kiff Lab, and Spindrift Brewing. That's 2 brewing companies, guys. This film is 12 minutes long and was filmed during June 2021. And this is a world